Hello students, let us begin a new chapter today, work, energy and power. First, let us see what we are going to discuss in the chapter. First of all, we will learn what is work, the definition of work and the types of work. Then in the energy, we will mainly focus on the mechanical energy and its two types. First is kinetic energy. Then we will see work done by variable forces, because there are two work done by constant force and work done by variable force. Then we will see the relation between work done and kinetic energy, that is work energy theorem. Then the second type of mechanical energy called potential energy. Based on potential energy, we will see what is the equilibrium of system, that is stable and unstable equilibrium. Then we will move to conservation of mechanical energy and its proof and some examples based on that. Later on, we will understand about the potential energy of spring and the spring mass system. Then to the third part of the chapter, that is power, in which we will understand about average and instantaneous powers. And at last we will learn the collisions, different types of collisions, elastic, inelastic, perfectly inelastic, some examples on that, and at last we will solve some previous year questions. So let us begin with the first term, work. Before understanding about work and its formula, we have to understand a scalar product, that is also called dot product of the vector. The dot product is denoted by dot. Let us say there are two vectors A and B. So the dot product or scalar product is defined as magnitude of A into magnitude of B into cos theta, where the theta is angle between A and B. So A dot B will be simply AB cos theta. Now if we see the geometrical representation, then this is vector A and this is vector B. The angle between A and B is given theta. If we take a perpendicular projection of B on A, then this component will be B cos theta. So we can write that projection of B along A, this is projection of B along A, and that is B cos theta. From the definition of dot product, we can write A dot B is equals to AB cos theta. From this, B cos theta can be written as A dot B upon A. So B cos theta is called the projection of B along A. Now let us see some properties of dot product. The first property is dot product is commutative, that is A dot B is equals to B dot A. Second, it is distributive, so A dot B plus C is equal to A dot B plus A dot C. Then A dot A will be equal to A square, because A dot A is equals to A square cos. Angle between A and A is 0, so this will give us the answer A square. Now if A and B are perpendicular, then AB cos 90 degree will be equal to 0, because cos 90 is 0. So if two vectors are perpendicular, then the dot product will be 0. Seeing about the unit vectors, I dot I will be equal to J dot J will be equal to K dot K, that is equal to 1. I dot J as I and j are perpendicular. I is along x-axis and j is along y-axis. So I dot j or j dot k or k dot I will be equal to 0. Whenever we are doing a scalar product of a quantity, for example, it is given that C is equals to A dot B, then this C quantity will be a scalar quantity. That is the reason it is called scalar product. Now let us define work. There is one object placed on a surface. We have applied some force on it. Due to this force, this object displaces by S meter in the direction of force. So this is the initial position of object and this is the final position of object. In this case, due to the action of this force, this block is displaced, so we can say that work is done on the block. So whenever force is applied on any object and it displaces the object in the direction of the force, then work is said to be done. The work is defined mathematically as work is equals to F dot S. Just we have defined the dot product, so F S cos theta. As we are doing a dot product or scalar product, the resultant quantity will be scalar. So work done is a scalar quantity. The SI unit of work is joule. Now there are different types of work. The first case, work done is equals to Fs cos theta. When the force and displacement are in the same direction, that is, the angle between force and displacement is 0, then this cos 0 will be 1. So the work done will be positive. The range for positive work is 0 is less than or equal to theta is less than 90 degree. For this range of angle, the work done will be positive. Now, when the force and displacement are in opposite direction, that is, angle between force and displacement is 180 degree, the work is negative. The range for negative work is 90 is less than theta is less than or equal to 180 degree. Now if force and displacement are perpendicular to each other, or either force or displacement is 0, then work done is 0. So there are three types of work: positive work, negative work and 0 work. For positive work, the angle should be between 0 and 90 degree. For negative work, the angle should be between 90 and 180 degree. And for 0 work, either force and displacement are perpendicular, F is 0, or displacement is 0. Now let us solve one simple example for work or for dot product. It is given that vector A is 2i plus j minus k and vector B is I plus j plus k. We want to find the projection of A on B. The projection of A on B is given by, let's say this is vector B and this is vector A. The angle between A and B is given theta. So projection of A on B will be equal to A cos theta. So we want to find basically A cos theta. The dot product is defined as A dot B is equals to A cos theta. So A cos theta will be equal to A dot B divided by magnitude of B. First we will do the dot product. So A dot B will be I dot I is 1 and I dot J, I dot K is 0. So 2 into 1 will be equal to 2 plus 1 into 1 will be equal to 1 minus 1 into 1 will be equal to minus 1. So A dot B is equals to 2. Now we want to find the magnitude of B. So magnitude of B is under root 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square, that is equal to root 3. So A cos theta is equals to A dot B divided by magnitude of B, that is equal to A dot B is 2 divided by root 3. This is the required answer. Now in the second question, same vectors are given. A is equals to 2i plus j minus k and B is equals to I plus j plus k. We want to find a third vector having magnitude of A and directed along B. Let's say two vectors are there. This is B vector and this is A vector. We want a third vector having magnitude of A and it is directed along B. So the third vector will have magnitude of A and directed along B. The direction of B is given by B cap. Let us say our third vector is C and that will be magnitude of A, B cap. First of all, let us find the magnitude of A. Magnitude of A will be under root 2, 1 minus 1. So 2 square plus 1 square plus minus 1 square. That will be equal to 4 plus 1 plus 1. So root 6. Now B cap, the unit vector along B is given by magnitude of B, vector B upon magnitude of B. The vector B is I cap plus j cap plus k cap divided by its magnitude will be, we have just found, root 3. So the third vector C will be, it is having magnitude of A, that is root 6 into B cap. B cap is given by I cap plus j cap plus k cap divided by root 3. So our required vector will be root 2 into I cap plus j cap plus k cap. So you have to understand that these are two different problems. If you have been asked that projection of A along B, then you will find A cos theta. But if you have been asked the third vector having magnitude of A and directed along B, then you will find the third vector in this manner. Just now we have seen the different types of work. There are positive work, negative work and zero work. The condition for zero work is force is perpendicular to the displacement. So work done by centripetal force is always 0. If we see the circular motion, this object is moving along this direction. Let's say at this point velocity is v. So velocity will be in tangential direction and the force will be directed, centripetal force will be directed towards the center. Here, as velocity is tangential, the displacement will be also along the velocity. So in this case, centripetal force is perpendicular to displacement. So work done by centripetal force is always 0. The SI unit of work is joule. The CGS unit of work is 1 joule is defined as 1 Newton into 1 meter. That is, force of 1 Newton is acted on object to displace it by 1 meter. To convert it into CGS unit, the CGS unit of Newton is 10 power 5 dyne and 1 meter is 100 centimeter. So that will be 10 power 7 and the CGS unit is erg. So 1 joule is equals to 10 power 7 erg. The other most frequently used units are, one is electron volt. 1 electron volt is equals to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule. Another is calorie. 1 calorie is equals to 4.182 joule. But this electron volt is used most in the electricity or electrostatics, and calorie is used in calorimetry. Now, how will you define 1 joule of work? A work is said to be 1 joule when a force of 1 Newton moves a body through a distance of 1 meter in the direction of force. Let's say there is one object, we are applying a force of 1 Newton, and due to the application of this force, this body displaces by 1 meter in the direction of force. Then work done is F into S into cos theta. Force is 1, displacement is 1, angle between force and displacement is 0. So work done will be equal to 1 joule. Now let us see how we can calculate the work done by different forces on the object. Here one object of mass 1 kg is given. The forces acting on it are, first is F1 of magnitude 10 Newton. It is acting at an angle of 30 degree with horizontal. Another is F2 is equals to 10 Newton and the mass of object is 1 meter. Under the action of these forces, the object displaces by 1 meter. We want to find the work done by F1, F2 and weight of the object. Simple. The object is displacing in this direction, so S is equals to 1 meter. Work done by F force 1, let's say it is W1. The definition of work done is F as cos theta, so that will be F1 as cos theta. The angle between force and displacement is 30 degree, so cos 30 degree. The force is 10, displacement is 1 into cos 30 root 3 by 2. So the work done will be 5 root 3 joule. Now let us find the work done due to force 2, that is W2. W2 will be F2 as cos. The force and displacement are in same direction, so the angle between them will be 0 degree. So F2 is 10, displacement is 1 and cos 0 is 1. So W2 will be 10 joule. Now we want to find the work done by weight or work done by gravity. The gravitational force acts in the downward direction, so the force mg into displacement s into cos. Here this is the displacement and this is the gravitational force or weight. We can see this displacement and weight are perpendicular to each other, so angle between them is 90 degree. Cos 90 is 0, so work done by gravitational force will be 0. If you have been asked the total work done, then it is the simplest sum of all the work done. So 10 plus 5 root 3 joule is the total work done. Now let us see another example on work done. The block slides distance of s along the plane. We want to find the work done by the gravitational force and the frictional force. Here the displacement is in this direction s. As it is displacing in downward direction, the frictional force will act in upward direction. The gravitational force in this direction will be mg sine theta, and the frictional force is mu into normal reaction, and frictional force will be mu, normal reaction is mg cos theta. So first let us find the work done by gravity. So work done by gravity will be Fs cos theta. For simplicity, I am denoting the theta as phi, where phi is the angle between force and displacement, because theta here is the angle of inclination. The gravitational force along the displacement or along the plane is mg sine theta. The displacement is s, and the angle between mg sine theta and s is 0, so cos 0 degree. So work done by gravitational force will be equal to mgs sine theta. Now let us find the work done by frictional force. That is also equal to Fs cos phi. The frictional force just we have found is mu mg cos theta. So mu mg cos theta into s into cos phi. Phi is the angle between force and displacement. Here displacement is down the plane and frictional force is acting upward the plane. So the angle between force and displacement is 180 degree. So cos 180 degree. So the work done by frictional force will be cos 180 is minus 1. So minus of mu mg s cos theta. Now if you want to find the work done by normal reaction, then that will be, normal reaction will be mg cos theta into displacement, and the angle between displacement and normal reaction here, this is displacement and this is normal reaction, they both are perpendicular to each other. So the angle between them will be 90 degree. So work done by normal reaction force is 0. Till now we have discussed the work done by constant force, but it is not necessary that during the entire motion the force remains constant. It is possible and most practical that the force is variable. So how will we find the work done in that case? Let us see. For any object, a force and position graph is given. Here we can clearly see that the force is not constant with position. The force is dependent on position and it is varying with position. In that case, we want to find the work done. So the area under the force and displacement graph will give us the work done. Area under fx graph will give us the work done. So to find the area, we will integrate it. So work done by variable force will be equal to integration of F dot dx. Limits from initial position to final position. Remember, here in this case, the force is the function of position. Now let us solve one example on base of variable force. The question is, a gardener pushes a lawn roller on a rough surface. The force displacement graph is shown in the figure. We want to find the work done by two forces. Which two forces? Force by gardener and the frictional force. First, let us understand the graph. The graph is force versus position. The constant frictional force acting is 75, but it is acting in the opposite direction, so it is minus. The applied force is initially 150 and it gradually decreases to the value 75. First of all, we will find the work done by the force applied by gardener. The work done is area under the graph. So in this case, we have to find this area. So work done by F will be equal to, this area is trapezium. So area of trapezium is half into sum of parallel sides. These two are parallel sides. This is 10 meter and this is 5 meter. So 10 plus 5 into perpendicular distance between them. The perpendicular distance is 150 Newton. So work done by the force is 15 into 150 divided by 2. So the work done will be 1125 joules. Now let us find the work done due to frictional force. Again we have to find the area. Now this time the area will be this. This is a rectangle. So work done by frictional force will be area of rectangle, that is equal to, this length is 10 meter, so 10 into, this height is 75 but the force is negative, so we will consider the sign, that is minus 75. So the work done will be minus 750 joule. So the work done by applied force is 1125 joule and work done by frictional force is minus 750 joule. If we want to find the total work done, then that will be 1125 minus 750. That will be equal to 375 joules. Now let us see one more example on variable force. Here force is given as 5 plus 2x. It acts on a particle in x direction. We want to find the work done by the force during its displacement from x is equals to 0 to x is equals to 1 meter. The force is in Newton. Here force is the function of position, so it is the case of variable force. In the case of variable force, we have to find the work done by using integration method. So work done is equals to integration F dot dx. The initial position is 0 and final position is 1. Put the value of F in this equation. So integration from 0 to 1, F is 5 plus 2x dx. So work done will be integration of 5 will be 5x plus integration of 2x will be 2x square by 2. Limits from 0 to 1. So work done will be, putting the limits, this 2 will get cancelled out. 5 plus 1 square 1 minus 0 minus 0. So work done will be equal to 6 joule. Now let us move to the second part of the chapter, that is energy. What is energy? In general, energy is the capability of any object to do work. There are various forms of energy: mechanical energy, electrical energy, heat energy, light energy, sound energy, chemical energy, nuclear energy, etc. But as far as our chapter is concerned, we will mostly focus on the mechanical energy. There are two types of mechanical energy. One is potential energy and another is kinetic energy. So let us begin with kinetic energy first. Whenever any object is moving, it is said to have some kinetic energy. So energy possessed by body by virtue of its motion or due to its motion is called kinetic energy. The kinetic energy formula is half mv square. Here m is the mass of object and v is the speed of object. It is a square, so it is independent of the direction of motion, and kinetic energy or any type of energy is scalar quantity. The kinetic energy depends upon frame of reference. In the force and laws of motion, we have seen that for different frame of reference, the velocity of given object will be different, as speed is relative term, that is depends on observer. So the kinetic energy will also depend on the frame of reference, that means on the observer. The kinetic energy is always positive because mass cannot be negative, and v square is also positive. So kinetic energy is always positive. Now let us see the relation between kinetic energy and linear momentum. It is very important relation. So let us see that. Kinetic energy is defined as half m into v square. If we divide and multiply this kinetic energy with mass, then in the denominator there will be 2m, and m into m will be m square v square. But we know that linear momentum is equals to mass into velocity. So this m square v square can be replaced by p square, where p is the linear momentum. So kinetic energy is equals to p square upon 2m. This is very important equation. There are multiple questions based on this, and we'll also use this formula in the nuclear or atom chapter. Now let us draw graph First, we will see the graph of kinetic energy and linear momentum. The kinetic energy is given by P square by 2m. Here we have kept mass constant, so we can write kinetic energy is directly proportional to P square. If y quantity is directly proportional to x square, then the graph will be parabolic. So the graph will look like this. In the second case, we are drawing graph of kinetic energy and mass. Kinetic energy is P square upon 2m. Here we have kept the linear momentum constant. So kinetic energy is inversely proportional to mass. Whenever two quantities are inversely proportional, the graph will be hyperbolic. So let us solve some examples based on this relation. In the first example, the linear momentum of an object is increased by 10%. We want to find the percentage change in its kinetic energy. Let's say initial linear momentum was P1. Now the linear momentum is increased by 10%. So P2 will be P1 plus 10%, that is 0.1 of P1. So P2 will be 1.1 P1. Let's say initial kinetic energy was K1. We want to find final kinetic energy and then we can find the percentage change. Just we have seen the kinetic energy is equals to P square by 2m. Here mass of the object will remain constant, so we can write kinetic energy is directly proportional to P square. So if we take the ratio, K2 upon K1 is equal to P2 upon P1 whole square. But P2 is 1.1 P1 divided by P1 whole square. This P1 will get cancelled out. So K2 upon K1 will be equal to 1.1 square will be 1.21. So we can write K2 is equals to 1.21 K1. Now to find the percentage change is equals to final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. So 1.21 K1 minus K1 upon K1 into 100. So the percentage change will be 21%. Here kinetic energy and linear momentum are directly proportional. So if linear momentum is increased by 10%, then kinetic energy will also be increased by 21%. In the second question, a bullet of mass 200 gram hits a block of thickness 6 centimeter with speed of 100 meter per second. It emerges with 10% of its initial kinetic energy. We want to find its emergent speed. It is given that final kinetic energy is 10% of its initial kinetic energy. Final kinetic energy will be half m. Let's say final velocity is Vf. So half m Vf square is equals to 10 by 100 into initial kinetic will be half m Vi square. Thus half m will get cancelled out. We want to find the final speed. So Vf will be equal to 1 by 10 into Vi square, that is equal to 100 into 100. So the final velocity will be, taking the square root on both the sides, will get 10 root 10 meter per second. So this is the emergent speed.